help convince President Truman that Emperor Hirohito should be retained as the emperor.
Yes, he called me down one day, in August or September 45, and Senator Elbert Thomas was there. He was from Utah.
Yes.
He was the head of before he came to Congress, he was the head of the Department of Japanese History at the University of Utah. He had served in Japan as a Mormon missionary. He spoke the language, and during the war, because of that and his knowledge, he was used by WWII, I think it was called, Office of War Information, Elmer Davis's outfit,
yes,
to broadcast to Japan. And Truman asked us what, he said he had been receiving reports pro and con as to what should be done about the emperor. And we both said that he should be retained, and he would unify, he would keep the people unified, keep them together, and that if anything was done to him, if he was arrested along with the others, that it would mean a breakdown in Japan, disruption, difficulties, and things of that sort, and that we would be in very hot water. And I suppose that he asked others their opinion too, so we can't take credit for it because certain others had been asked.
Yes, yes. And looking back on it, it was a very wise move, don't you think?
It certainly was. Very wise.
Yes.
And very much needed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When you were ambassador to Japan for, I guess, was it 6 years?
No, 11 and a half.
11 and a half. Did you have much personal contact with the emperor?
With the emperor, no. Just on formal occasions, with other diplomats, or when Reagan or Carter came on official visits, I'd go along. But a very good and worthwhile relationship with the Crown Prince and Princess, now the Emperor and Empress.
Yes, yes, okay. And also, did President Truman offer you the post of Assistant Secretary of State for Public Affairs?
Yes.
Obviously, you turned him down. Why?
I wanted to remain a senator from. I wanted to be a senator from Montana only.
I see. Okay. And
it was the height of my ambition.
You know, your story is such an inspiring one, Ambassador, going from the, you know, those rough days in Montana and hopping the rail freight cars to becoming majority leader and ambassador to Japan.
Well, it's my wife and a lot of luck.
Boy, what an inspiring story. Were you reluctant in 1977 when Jimmy Carter wanted you to serve as the ambassador to Japan?
No, he offered me an ambassadorship to Mexico, and I think another one, I forgot which. And we wanted to retire.
Yes.
While we were in good health and of sound mind. And finally came up with Japan. And I said, well, I'll think about that one. And I talked to Maureen, and we decided that we'd accept it. And we did it because of my lifelong interest in the Far East, and that was probably the reason.
Yes, yes. So you felt because of your love of the Far East, this would be something you would enjoy.
Well, I was seeing things come to pass which I had only dreamed of when I was out there with the Marines. No more colonialism. Oh, there were elements in Macau and East Timor, and in Hong Kong in a certain sense. But now the countries are all free and independent, mostly capitalist, except for North Korea and North Vietnam, now Vietnam.
Yes.
And it was an area which was always close to my heart, and in which I had a lifelong sustained interest.
I should say. What are your thoughts about our problems with the trade imbalance with Japan? How can that be solved? And
that's the only difficult problem we have with Japan. It's going to be a a hard one. I don't think Japan bashing is the answer, quite the contrary. I think that what we have to do is to recognize that Japan is a sovereign nation, has its problems, must solve them in its own way, that we have our problems, we must solve them in our own way. For example, our budget deficit, our foreign debt, and that Japan must open its markets, and that an agreement has to be reached somehow, perhaps through a free trade agreement or something similar.
Yes.
By means of which we could face up to the whole picture and try and bring the problem to a head, rather than on the present bit by bit, piece by piece policy of taking up an issue or a small group of issues at a time.